And welcome to another edition of Judgment Day with me, Matt Rebar, joined by Raina Butel. Raina, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I love the wool knit cap that you're wearing. It is so ready for the upcoming winter festivities here in the Midwest. So,
Yes. My friend is moving away, unfortunately, and she
oh,
was giving her stuff away, and I was like, she must have been a snowboarder or something. I don't know. So
she's like, I'm
I
moving
just,
someplace where I don't need this kind of hat, right? Like,
she's moving to Florida.
oh yeah, she's not gonna need a wool hat. Even like,
So it's
what's
like,
Florida's coldest day? Like 55, 60?
I think so.
Like that's still
So
like, yeah, you don't need a hat. So good for her. Get out of here, girl. In a good way, right?
yeah, on
Well,
to
we're
bigger and better things.
bigger and better. All right, should we jump into this? We're without Logan, so it's just you and me. I'm excited for this one though. Am I the asshole for getting upset when my girlfriend nearly started a kitchen fire? Ooh,
Oh,
fire safety.
when danger goes a little too far.
Let's see. Well, let's see what happens, and then we can decide then. So the guy writing in, he's a 30-year-old male and a homeowner. Ooh. And I had been with my girlfriend, 25, female, for about 8 months when we decided to try living together. Do you think, when did you and your boyfriend, if you don't mind me asking, how long did you guys date before you moved in?
I think we are an extremely unusual case. We had dated, so we had been talking for
Mhm.
like a year.
Okay.
We had been dating, like had seen each other because we met online.
Hmm.
And we had seen each other for probably a month. So yeah, really fast. But I'm just gonna refer, like, thinking of like my other boyfriends. I feel like 8 months is, I would say that's reasonable. I think so. What do you think? Or no?
You know, for me personally, 8 months is too soon. Like, I think I would need to be like around the two. I don't know. I mean, maybe it depends. Maybe I'm in that relationship where like and you wanna go with what you know. But for me, 8 months, ooh, don't love that. That's not on my clock, but it's good to hear like from you, like, okay, it can work, right? Like I know it's not for everybody, but for some people it works. So they 8 months and then they decided to live together. And then they had been living together for 2 months when this happened. So 10 months in the relationship, 2 months into living together. We both work full time. She's in grad school. The girlfriend is extremely scattered brain, absent minded, and messy. Ooh. She was cooking a soup on the stove and apparently went in the other room to do homework. And then at some point, she fell asleep on the sofa. So when the boyfriend got home and walked to the kitchen, most of the water had boiled out of the soup and it had started smoking. He said, I will describe my reaction. Her reaction is accurate because he wants to know. I was infuriated because we live in an area that has forest fires. I almost lost the house I grew up in because of a forest fire, and it could potentially cause devastation. So when I saw what was going on, I started yelling. I yelled at her until she woke up. I said, what the F do you think you're doing? She said she didn't mean to fall asleep. And I said, you almost burned my house down and you think I didn't mean to is an okay excuse. She said she was sorry. And I said that didn't cut it. I said, from now on, if she wants to use my kitchen, she's not allowed to leave the room while there's a flame going on the stove. She said she did not like being treated like a child. And I replied, act like a child, get treated like one. The last thing I said, and I saw an instant change come over her. She left the room, went to clean up the kitchen. After a few minutes, I felt sorry. And she said it was fine. She'd take care of it. I went in the bedroom and changed. And then after a few minutes, I saw her car pulling out and her leaving. I was glad she left because I was still pretty angry. Night came and I didn't hear from her. And I texted and then called to see if she was okay. No reply. Then I started calling some of her friends and family members. And then I got a call from her stating she was okay and asked me not to contact her family members. When I went to sleep, got up, went to work, came home. When I came home from work, all of her things were gone. I tried to call her and I was blocked on every form of communication. I haven't heard from her since then, and it was several weeks ago. What I'm wondering is, why was I such an asshole to justify that kind of brutal reaction? I think anyone who had their house almost burned down would be upset. So, whoa, this one comes with I think a lot of discussion questions. But first, do you think he overreacted, or do you think he underreacted or mid-reacted?
There is so much going on here. Um, oh my God, I don't even know where to begin. Okay, so what is his interpretation of almost burning the house down though? Because
Well, okay,
I've
go.
been in a kitchen
Hmm.
where I have left the water and it boiled,
Hmm.
there was nothing left, and it is scary.
Hmm.
However, when I think of almost burn the house down, I think of like you look at the wall and there's a drape and it's climbing up the thing, like, you know what I'm like, the
Yeah.
flame is on its way to burn it down. I
Hmm.
think he caught it in the nick of time and he
Hmm.
was close, but I also feel like screaming at someone
Hmm.
when they're asleep instead of managing the problem is doesn't really help your case of the house is almost
Hmm.
burning down. You're letting it almost burn down more.
Hmm.
Uh, um, ooh, what do you think?
Well, I got to start off by saying, like, as someone who is kind of absent-minded and clumsy, I don't use the stove that much. Like, if I only use the stove if like I need to use the stove, like for soup, put it in the microwave. Do you not have a microwave? Like, that's the easy option. If you're like and you're gonna leave the kitchen and you know like you're forgetful, like you know what I mean? Like, I think it is kind of a little bit like the onus of like her personal responsibility, like that is irresponsible. And I say that as someone who's done that. So I don't know. I don't think his comments to me, like, he seems like this is a big trigger for him. Um, and it looks
That
like the
is true.
thing that really like that I think when made her upset was the act like a child get treated like one, which I'm kind of on the fence about. Like, I don't think that was the best thing to say. I get what he means, but again, is it demeaning? It implies she's a child. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't love to hear that, but like, I don't know if he's entirely in the wrong for saying that. I mean, fire safety 101, right? Like, it does feel immature to leave the stove on and then go another room and then fall asleep and blah blah. Like, I don't know. What do you? I mean, and here's another thing. Like, this is kind of off topic, but like, is she right to just be like goodbye? I mean, I gotta say, like, I respect her boundary. If she's like, this was the deal breaker, and I want to get out of here and like ghost him. I mean, good for you, Glen Coco. I don't think I would. I'm not that kind of person, but I could see myself being, if something big happened, I might pull a petty thing like that. So I don't know. What do you think about her, I guess, response to being called child?
These people should have spent more time getting to know each other. I think you're right on the 8 months question. If
Mhm.
somebody called me a child, you bet I'd peel out of that driveway. I I would. I would. That is so uncalled for.
Yeah.
I I just it would be so insulting where it's like, okay, like let's dial it back a little bit. You're not my parent, and sure, going taking a nap when you're about to eat soup, which means you're probably not hungry in the first
Mhm.
place. You're probably just like bored eating. Um, that is like too controlling, and I would absolutely peel out. Would I
Mhm.
go as far as blocking someone on all platforms of social media? Probably not. And okay, yes, that is child
Mhm.
behavior, but you can get that across without saying exactly that.
Mhm.
And anyone who would say that to me would be dead to me. Absolutely. That's like I don't know. It's just there's like certain
Well,
things that you just don't say.
mhm. Well, here's
That's one of
here's
them.
here's a question for you. Is there a difference in someone saying you're acting like a child, you're being childish, or you are a child? To me, if someone said you are a child, that would probably sting more than if someone said you're acting like a child or this is childish. So if he
Yes,
said
they are.
act like a child, get treated like a child, that stings more than saying like it's childish to leave a hot stove running and not being responsible with it, right? So
Yes,
it's
I
probably the
totally
phrasing
agree.
a little bit too. I don't know. This is tough. Are you ready for a reaction or a judgment, or do you need a little bit more time?
Can you say the question one more time?
Yes. So he's basically wondering, um, was I really an asshole to justify that kind of brutal reaction? So like the question that he posed is, am I the asshole for getting upset when my girlfriend nearly started a kitchen fire? So it looks like he's just posing like what basically the statements that he made and the way he like woke her up and what the F do you think you're doing? And like, you almost burned my house down. So I guess his reaction is he the
Okay,
asshole for the
I
reaction?
l- I love that like 75% of this post is not even related to that question. It's related to after
Yeah,
and
it's like
the
a fallout
consequences of
and
what he
yeah.
said. So is he an asshole for saying she get treated like a child
Mm-hmm.
and screaming at her to wake up? Triggering things, have to put that into a factor. I'd say everyone sucks here.
Mm-hmm.
People respond to triggers very differently. He sounds like he's kind of a tool, like just on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But if he really has a fear of his house burning down and that was his panic response, then that was his panic response and it's a bad one. But I mean, my panic responses are not good. I do not do well in panic situations.
Yeah.
So I think everyone sucks here. I
See, and
really do.
I agree too. I think leaving the stove on just sucks, and not being responsible. That
Yeah.
sucks. And that could have been worse. Was it like did it turn out to be not as bad? Yes, but like it could have been a fire. He's absolutely right. It
Yeah.
wasn't though, and his reaction I think did seem to be over the edge. She did try to apologize. He said it wasn't good enough or wasn't enough. I mean, what did you want? Did you really just want her to like follow this rule of like anytime you're in the kitchen with the stove, like you have to stay in the kitchen? Like it just seems controlling and like archaic. Do you want to guess what the thread said though?
The thread said that I think they said not the asshole.
Oh no, they said he is the asshole here.
Okay, good. Whew, I
Top
was like,
comment. Oh, go ahead.
I was trying to like play it and see where they went, and I was like,
I
no, they're
think
gonna go crazy
I
here.
think it's because probably because of the epilogue. They're like, yeah, you're kind of the asshole. Top comment. It sounds to me like your girlfriend didn't appreciate being talked down to, insulted, and screamed at for making a mistake that nearly all of us have done at some point. Yes, it could have been disastrous, but it wasn't. Your house didn't burn down, nor did it come close to burning down. Not once were you concerned with her safety or that she could have been hurt. You berated her for something that didn't even happen, but could have happened. She set a boundary, made a choice, and decided a relationship wasn't worth it. It isn't a brutal reaction. It's one that clearly defines that she doesn't want to be in a relationship with someone who responds to her the way you did. She apologized to you and it wasn't good enough, and she has returned the same courtesy. Second one. So here's what this made me think of. My husband and I recently spent $7,000 to get our house painted. One day, in a very uncharacteristic moment for me, I was so focused on something on when backing out of the garage that I forgot to open the garage door. I slammed right into it and put a huge crack in our freshly painted garage door. I felt horrible and stupid, and when I told my husband, I apologized repeatedly and expected him to have a fit. Instead, he realized how bad I felt and just shrugged it off. When he looked at the door, it didn't look fixable, so he called in a garage door guy. The cost was higher than we expected, but husband still kept a cool head. At no point did he call me a child. No point did he say I could only drive the car in his presence. No point could he call up a traumatic childhood memory about driving. No point did he say my driving ran the risk of breaking down the whole neighborhood. That is how you handle a stupid mistake like a grown up. Long story short, you're the asshole. Um, Last one, and I'll read one more too. I understand why you're angry, but I understand why she left. For sure, she knows what she was wrong and made a mistake. Even in your story, you indicate this. But at the same time, she learned that her boyfriend of less than a year has the capacity to be explosively angry and berating. I knew you were the asshole at the beginning of your second paragraph when you described your girlfriend as extremely scattered-brained, absent-minded, and messy. Sounds like it's filled with lots of love. Also, where's your fire alarm?
Wow.
Some great points have been made here.
Yeah, I
Woo.
agree with every one of those too. I guess I didn't really factor in the embarrassment because
Mhm.
that is so much of it too, where
Mhm.
it's like it's obvious she was embarrassed and it was so much more than just like, oh,
Mhm.
I mean that embarrassment, yeah, that level of embarrassment. All
Yeah,
right,
it took a long
commenters.
yeah, and it took a long time to get to a point where someone actually said everyone sucks here. I think they just felt like his reaction, like I don't know. I mean, in that situation, like okay, if we didn't have that epilogue, would we feel differently? Like she straight up left him. It must have been pretty bad. I mean, oof, Maron.
Yeah.
Another day where I'm happy that I am single and my own oven issues are my own oven issues, right? So
Yes. That's why it goes in the microwave.
exactly. Use the microwave, you guys. Come on. All right, Raina. Well, it's been a pleasure. And thanks for joining us here on Judgment Day. We'll see you next time for more Judgment. Peace out. Judgment Day is a podcast by Starbolt Studios. Judgment Day is executively produced by Matt Rebar, Logan Molnar, and Raina Butel. For more awesome content, just go to starboltstudios.com or on their Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter page.